Hi, I'm Al Powell. I go by Dr. Al in teaching my course for Tom Edison, THC-625. And this is a short video that is intended to give you kind of a look at how I manage the course and how I want to relate to you. Let me start off by saying I want to let you know what the course is about. It's about changing the way you think of technology. A lot of people think technology started with electricity or the Industrial Revolution or steam power. Goes back much further than that. The course is part of a liberal arts master's, so it focuses on society, not the technicalities of how technology was invented. But my goal is to give you a new vision of how people relate to technology and how it affects human society. I don't lecture in this course, and I don't try to tell you what to think. I want people in the class to share their thoughts and ideas. Much of the value in this course comes from your ideas, your arguments, and your interpretation of what you read and write. If you don't share those things, this course can get boring pretty quickly, okay? Due dates. We all know what deadlines are. If you turn in work late, then the grade will be reduced. But I know that life happens. So if you know that something's coming up, if there's a problem with health or travel or whatever, let me know ahead of time. If I know ahead of time that you're going to have to turn in something late, I'll work with you, okay? But I don't want to sit there for 3 days wondering if or when that assignment will ever show up. All right, fair enough. Let's talk about written work, because this is a part of the class that some students really are comfortable with and some are not. Both Tom Edison administration and I expect you to write at the level of a fully accomplished master's student, which is to say, your writing should be correct and accurate in every respect. The discussions in this course are a little more casual, but the written work is expected to have a very high standard of competence. I'll say some more about that in a minute. I know we're going to have some good writers in this course. We're going to have some folks that are just very comfortable writing, and we'll have some that are a little more challenged and really aren't sure that they're a polished writer yet. But if you're a good writer, you already know some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about next. So let's talk about what makes a solid academic paper. And this won't take long, but these are basics that good writers already know, so some of you know this stuff. Every paper has an introduction where you bring up your topics, a body where you discuss those topics, make arguments, cite research, whatever, and it has a conclusion. You have to write in complete sentences, not run-on sentences, which are 3 of them pasted together, and not sentence fragments or incomplete sentences. You need to understand how to use paragraphs. When you change topics, you start a new paragraph. And you have to understand punctuation, including things like the difference between a comma and a semicolon and how to use them. As a grad student, you should be comfortable with this stuff. Also, Tom Edison requires APA style in every paper. And the good part about that is you can look it up online. There are plenty of references. One of the best is the Purdue online writing lab called the Purdue OWL. I use it a lot. I think you can benefit by using it too. Now, one thing that's different about this course is there's a word count for every assignment. Most papers in this class have a minimum of 500 words and a maximum of 1,000. It's up to you to meet those parameters, and every word processor has a word count function built into it. Now, I don't count the titles and the references at the end of the paper. Shorter papers may meet the word count, but they may not explain their points very well. So it's up to you where you want to fall in there, but my experience is that in order to write a good paper with full explanations and make your points, you're probably going to be closer to the 1,000-word mark than to the 500-word mark. And if you do not meet the wording requirements, if you're shorter than 5 or over 1,000, that's 1 full letter grade off the paper. No excuses. And this is because word counts are part of all professional writing. It's something that you may do in your profession, in education, in the military. When you're given an assignment to write, there's normally a word count with it, so you might as well get used to it. right now because it's part of life. Now, I'm going to take a couple of minutes and talk about some things that you can do if you're struggling with writing, or if you're finding that you're not getting the grades you want and you're getting a lot of corrections and marks in your paper. I'm going to bring up a PowerPoint here so that I can show you my points. And it takes just a moment to do that. Let's do it. Okay, so 5 points that I want to make about how to improve writing. Number 1, pick a topic. Do your research, write a draft. This is your first draft. It's not the one you're going to turn in. Most good authors start with a draft and they revise it, they improve it, they change it. You can too. So take that first draft, read it out loud to yourself, and try to interpret it. Try to read it to somebody who might not understand it. And by the process of reading it and trying to interpret it, you're going to find problems with sentence structure or punctuation or various things. Reading out loud tends to bring those things out. So make notes as you find problems, and that will give you a basis for revising the paper. When you've gone back through the paper and made all the changes suggested by your notes, you have a second draft. Okay? You're not done yet. Take that second draft, hand it to someone that does not know the topic. Could be a spouse, could be a friend, whatever. Have them read that second draft and tell them, hey, anything in there that's unclear, confusing, doesn't make sense, you're wondering what I'm trying to say, please mark it. Let me know where those problems are. They'll give the paper back to you, you make changes, and you have a third draft. Now, consider submitting that draft. You'll probably be in pretty good shape at that point. But my finding is that a lot of students just don't do enough revisions to their papers. They don't go through enough of this in order to generate a good paper. So that's a way that you can help yourself. Okay. Another comment about reading and grading. I read every paper, start to finish, every word. Not everybody does that. But I read every word, and I use track changes when I open up a paper, and I show all my work. When I start reading a paper, I assume it's an A. I want to give it an A. It's up to you to keep that A, okay? But if there are problems in punctuation, or there's an unclear word or an incomplete sentence, or I can't figure out what a phrase means, I'm going to note that with track changes on, and I will return that assignment to you in the gradebook. There's a rubric for every assignment. If you want to look at them, you can see the different factors that go into assigning grades. But I return the paper to you. Please read it, because I don't want to see that in the fourth paper you're doing the same thing with using semicolons incorrectly that you did in the first paper. There's no reason that can't improve as we go along, okay? Now, I have an offer to make to you. If you would like to see a sample or two of good papers, I'll send them to you. I have some papers from earlier versions of this class that no longer directly relate to the assignments now, but they're well written. And if you'd like to see them so that you have an example of a good model or good writing, I'll be glad to share those with you. I'll just get into the Student Mentor Forum, which is a private forum, ask me for a paper, I'll return it to you through that forum, okay? And finally, life happens. We're all grown-ups. We all know that we can have illnesses in the family, we can have job assignments, we can have to travel, stuff can happen, and it can make you late, or it can be a problem with meeting an assignment, or you can need another week. Let me know. When life deals you a bad hand, get a hold of me and let me know you've got a problem. I'll work with you, because my goal is to help you succeed in the course and to learn something from the course. I'm not out to penalize anybody. I'm not out to give you a bad time. I want this to be a good experience for both of us, okay? So thank you for your time. I look forward to working with you in THC 625.